I'd rather be with you. Yeah.
Right.
Women are hypergamous, which means they mate across and up dominance hierarchies. And so if you're a male who's successful in a given hierarchy, the probability that you're going to have additional mating opportunities is exceptionally high. It's an unbelievably good predictor of that.
That hypergamy is a very uncomfortable discussion.
Yes,
some
it
people.
certainly is.
That's a big one, though.
It is.
The idea that it defines women's sexual choices by the fact that they want bigger, better. They want someone who's more successful, someone who's higher on the social ladder than what they're accustomed to or what they have now.
Well, what women do is that, like, mate choice is a very difficult problem. So how do you solve it? Well, here's how women solve it. Throw them in a ring. Let them compete at whatever they're competing at. Assume that the man who wins is the best man. Marry him.
It's a biological solution.
It's a biological solution, but it has a cost.
What is the cost?
Well, the cost is polygamy.
What's up, Authentic fam? Welcome back to another conversation on Authentic Alphas with your boy Ayindei. So I don't have to explain to you guys what hypergamy is. Most of you guys, I'm sure, already know what it is, and if you don't, my man Jordan Peterson just explained it to you. But what we are going to discuss is the differences between healthy hypergamy and, of course, a toxic form of hypergamy in either women or men. And then we're also going to get to the conclusion that hypergamy only leads to polygamy. And that's something that has been missing from our modern day society as far as acceptance is concerned. But all throughout history, polygamy was just life. It was natural, okay? So in the direction that we're heading, it's actually going to be, in my estimation, the only real solution for women. The issue is getting women to accept realities, which is what we're struggling with today. Women are so full of nonsense, rhetoric, and propaganda. They don't even know who or what to be angry at because they've been told that it's men in general, which is nonsensical. They also don't even understand how to get a grip on the current dating market or even understand why they're experiencing what they're experiencing. All you get is questions and complaints from women. They don't have any answers, they don't have any solutions, and they damn sure don't have any understanding of why they experience what they experience. So all they do is just demonize the men and make the boogeyman out of them, when really at the end of the day, men aren't any more guilty than women. If anything, they're actually less guilty than women. Obviously less selfish, less materialistic, and just less narcissistic. So what's happening with the women is they don't want to accept any type of reality that offends them, makes them uncomfortable, makes them unhappy, or exposes their insecurities. So what we're going to do, I want to take a look at a couple of clips, and I'm going to explain to you guys why hypergamy is always going to lead to polygamy in one form or another. And what we experience today is just the worst case scenario of a polygamous mindset, because what happens is the women that are having babies out of wedlock, they are having babies by multiple men. And the men are also having babies by multiple women. So we'll get to how that all ties in a little bit later. But let's check out some entertaining clips.
I am sick of it. You become single after you're with someone for fucking forever, and there are a million beautiful women out there for these men to just pick from, and us women have like, this many men. There are no men. It's either they're old and have no hair, or it's they're old and there's only like 10 pot. Like there's just, the ratio is not, it's not there. It's not there. And it's not fair.
All right, so that's a first example of a woman that doesn't understand how to interpret what she's experiencing. And what she resorts to is what most women resort to, which is a childish outlook, a childish response. And what she came to as a grown woman that has slept with many men, been in a long-term relationship, is that it's unfair. That's the best that this grown woman can come up with is it's unfair. Now imagine being 24 years old as a man and realizing that the women your age are interested in men much older than you, more successful than you, with much more status than you. And the best that you can come up with is it's not fair. All right? So this is what happens when a false narrative has been created for these women. And this false narrative looks good, it sounds good, it's shiny, it has really cool theme music you can dance to. And women have bought into this shit. But it doesn't equal what they're told it's going to equal. And then when they're not getting what they want, i.e. the guy that they want, you know, who's Mr. Perfect, and there's only but so many of them around, the women are upset and confused. When this is really easy to understand. I mean, again, this is like simple math. It's like you can have kids in a classroom and you can just, you know, take out a piece of paper and a pencil and you can just start writing down numbers. And we can do a mathematical equation and figure out what women are experiencing. And it's not complicated. The 80-20 rule is the easiest way to explain it. So if 80% of women are interested in the top 20% of men, obviously there's going to be more women than there are men that are eligible. It's really not that hard to figure out, all right? But if you have a group of 10 people, right, and let's say you only have 2 vehicles, is it really hard to figure out how you transport those 10 people? You put 5 in each vehicle. If you have 3 vehicles, now you could put 3 in one vehicle, 3 in another vehicle, and 4 in another vehicle. It's a simple math. So if you don't understand where I'm going with this by now, if you have all these women that are interested in this small group of men, the moment that this small group of men can have more than one woman and it be socially accepted, now everybody's happy. Because the men that they want can afford to have more than one wife. They're just not comfortable with it. But why? Simply because they weren't raised in a culture where that's normal. That's it. That's all that there is to it. They've been told that they're entitled to one man of their own. Which is interesting because if you have siblings, you understand that you have to share your father with your siblings. So as a sibling, you can share your mom and you can share your father, but when you grow up, all of a sudden, you can't fathom sharing a husband. But yet these women will date men that are already married.
Because you hear a lot of men in the manosphere kind of whining and complaining about women being hypergamous. And I'm thinking, I don't know, it's not just women. I think men and women are the same. Is like men and women, humans are always like trying to like find a mate that's at the top. So we're saying only 5% of people are deemed attractive. And that's because humans like have this like hunger for the top or for the best. And it's just like in us. I think it's part of the Darwinian thing. It's like wanting to mate with the healthiest person so that like you have the healthiest offspring. And then women, as so these stats say, are trying to find the 5% like most successful men. And it's the same thing. The people are looking for the 5% most successful, or people are looking for the 5% most attractive. And it's just, I think it's just like this biological Darwinian mating instinct that we humans have.
All right, so I had to throw that in there just to be balanced. Because men definitely do have a form of hypergamy. We are interested in the better looking option, the younger, more youthful option, for sure. There's many a times that I know you guys have been dealing with a female only to meet her friend that's better looking and think, damn, I wish I had gotten the friend. Or the sister is better looking, you're like, shit, I wish I had met the sister first. So we definitely experience it too. And I really don't like to hear guys complain and whine about hypergamy or any other hurdle in life. I mean, it's just a fact of life. It's a waste of time to whine and complain about it or to say it's not fair. Like, since when was life fair? And also, the same way that women are so entitled these days, a lot of these guys are entitled too, because you're over here whining and complaining that women's standards are too high or that you're invisible to women, but where did it say that every man was entitled to a woman? Where is this promise? So you have all these guys that are acting like after they go through puberty and turn a certain age, somehow they're like supposed to be granted this pretty girlfriend. Says who? Says who? If guys were given trophies, given girlfriends, given cars, what would we compete over? What would be the point? If everybody got a trophy, what difference would it make if you came in first, second, or third? So no, life isn't fucking fair. The guy that wins is the guy that gets the prize money. So at no point in time have women been any different. Women have always been just like anything else that men desire. They have to compete for it because, you know, other men also want it. All right? Even if you were talking about like hunting, how much game is there really out there? You know what I mean? And if you're trying to catch the biggest whatever, you know, you're trying to catch the biggest fish, the biggest whatever, it's still a competitive activity. It's always going to be a competitive activity when we're dealing with men. Yeah, women compete in their own way, but right now we're talking about guys, all right? So all of this, having an issue with hypergamy and acting like hypergamy is the bad guy, the issue is not hypergamy as a biological trait in women. The issue is our society in general and what we glorify and what, what we pursue and what we value. So, for example, women craving attention isn't the problem. The problem is now we have social media, so women can literally overdose on this free, accessible attention. But being biologically wired to desire attention from men, that's not flawed. Our current society is what's flawed, right? So now the women being predisposed to that male attention or desiring it, now it's out of balance, it's out of whack because we weren't designed to interact with social media. We were designed to interact with our tribe and neighboring tribes. So when you look at hypergamy, it's the same thing. Hypergamy itself is not the issue. The issue is that now women have infinite options, so they can't settle for shit because every time they open up a device that uses the internet, they're seeing all these other guys that they normally wouldn't have even known existed. Before, hypergamy was real simple. There's 40 available men in your tribe. Half of them are married. You got 20 guys to pick from, sis. Pick the best one and keep it moving. That's it. That was the extent of hypergamy before, this modernized society and all this technology and whatnot. Before all this travel and the ability to go, hundreds of miles away, it was just who was in your immediate vicinity. And we don't even have to go that far back in time. I mean, let's be realistic. So I'm an 80 baby. So when I was growing up, hypergamy was real simple for women. It's the kids that are in your neighborhood, and it's the guys that are in your school. And then you go to college, and it's the guys that's in your college. And then you leave college, and it's the guys that, that's it. It's that simple. It's just the guys that she came in contact with. She picks the best from those suitors, and she goes on with her life. And she could be content that she picked the best husband available out of what she had to pick from. But nowadays, the options are infinite. So how can a woman be confident that she made the right choice when there's all these men available? Is this guy worth moving to another city for? This guy that came to visit on a business trip and we hit it off, maybe we'll fall in love and then he'll move here. Like, women are already like all in their head and all in their fantasies and imagination. So now we have a society where that's infinite possibilities. So we can't really be too upset with them for not being able to put a lid on it. It's actually really not their fault. And I kind of try to compare that to some of the jobs I've done and the environments I've been in where access to beautiful women is endless. So when working in a nightclub, you have to develop your own personal discipline. Because if not, then every single night you're going to be trying to hook up with another chick. Because every single night there's another hot chick that will go home with you. So the point I'm trying to make is that would never end unless you decided for yourself, you know what? I have to put a limit to it. I have to put a lid on it. I have to tell myself one new girl a week or one girl a month, or I'm just going to have a girlfriend and not cheat on her. You would have to have that conversation with self. If not, you're going to drown in pussy because it's infinitely available.
I used to work at an insurance agency. There were not that many black men working at that company. The guys that did work there that were black, they never took a second glance at me. This was me like at least 15 years ago. No, not 15, maybe 13 years ago.
Okay.
But all of the women at the company that were my age and younger, like my current age now, they were chasing after these black guys that worked at the company like it wasn't even a secret. Everybody knew. That reality is the actual true reason why black women in America are angry at you, black men. You went to a 4-year school. I went to a 4-year school. You graduated. I graduated. You got to a 6-figure job. I got me one too. The difference, though, is that within the workplace, all the different races of women at the company are openly on your black guy.
Yeah.
No races of nobody is sweating me, the black woman, when I come to work. And all of us black women know that. It makes us angry, but they know I'm not lying. Again, I'm saying these things based on my experience and things I've observed. Therefore, black females, can we please stop acting like these black men need to raise their standards or whatever we keep trying to tell them? Because the females of the other races that graduated from these colleges, right along with you, are taking all of these black men that y'all are claiming ain't about nothing.
So for whatever reason, this particular lady is able to come to terms with reality and just accept it for what it is. I wouldn't be surprised if whatever her job is, it has something to do with numbers. She definitely looks like a numbers girl. And I think she just was able to look at it objectively and just say, why would these guys be tolerating any shit off of black women when they have all these options? And as simple as she just made it, I don't understand why other women can't just see it for what it is. Like, she's not a genius. You know, she didn't solve some type of complex equation. I mean, this shit was common sense to begin with. It's like, I think what made it easy for her is the fact that it was in a bubble. The fact that it's in her workplace and it's in that little office bubble, it's easy for her to put it into context and say, wow, you know what I'm saying? You have this one particular black guy and all 8 women in the office want to date him. So why would he pick anything less than the best one from those 8 if he was even willing to date a chick in the office? If all 8 of the chicks in the office is feeling him, that means all the chicks out in the real world that make less money than them would also be interested in him, which means he has a lot of options. Yet these 8 women, they have a lot of options in guys that they're not interested in. As far as the guys that they think are worthy, there are very few of them available and few of them asking them out, or else they'd already be dating and already have a boyfriend, but they're all single though, right? So the woman's standards go hand in hand with the options that the guy has. Let me see if I can explain that better. The same way that I was just saying that what's fucking up women's hypergamy is that the options seem endless with access to the internet. Well, guess what? For those guys that fall in the top 10, 15, 20%, their options are also somewhat endless because of the internet. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting place to be in, is what I'm saying, for both parties. If you're a guy that's in the top 20%, or you're a girl that's above average attractiveness.
To be honest with you, I have no problem with hypergamy. You know, most women, not all, but most women, they tend to go after men who make more money than them. Okay. And so if I make $40,000 a year and I'm dating a woman who makes $15,000 a year, she may see dating me as a come up, right? Maybe. The problem with hypergamy is the more money that you demand a man or a woman to make, the smaller the pool is. You have some women who say they want a man who makes $100,000 a year and nothing less. But what percentage of men even make that much money? I think it's like 15% of men. Matter of fact, I think it's only 7% of men who actually make $100,000 a year. So that's one of the downsides, and that's one of the reasons why so many women who have so many demands from men, they stay single for so long.
All right, so that dude just did the same thing that, the light-skinned chick did. He just basically accepted what's pretty damn obvious. Hypergamy is not hard to figure out. The current situation is not hard to figure out. but I am going to explain to you guys what the solution is for women and what the solution is for guys. So next, what we're going to talk about is the difference between this toxic hypergamy that women are exhibiting, and what is the actual positive, proper way for women to handle the hypergamy that they're not doing, mostly because they don't have fathers in the house to set this in motion for them. I'm gonna explain that in a second. Let's check out some more clips.
Would you date a broke guy?
Broke? What do you mean? As the person don't have money?
Yeah.
Why will I waste time? If there's no money, there's no love. I can't waste my time.
There's no money, there's no love. This was words from an Igbo woman. If there's no money, there's no love.
But,
Are you hearing me?
okay, am I eating
Are
love?
you hearing me?
Am I eating love? I have to tell him, either go and get a career, get a job, get something so that you can provide for your family.
But I love that. So you can't eat love.
Love, my dear. Love, is it gonna pay your rent? Is it gonna pay your bill?
Well,
Or if you love a nice car, is it gonna buy the nice car? Money. The money. Foodie.
ego.
Naira, ego. Anyone you call it.
That was a bad example of hypergamy, or that's basically how we identify with hypergamy mostly, which is negative. You know, when we think of hypergamy, we think of it being a negative female trait, and that's because that's how it's explained or expressed by women, how these Igbo women were basically expressing it. Like, I don't care about the guy. All I care about is the money. How much money does he have? And everything that she's saying is true, and it's nothing wrong with what she's saying fundamentally, but it's the attitude in which she's saying it. It's the arrogance in which she's saying it, and also that she at no point in time is mentioning what she's giving this guy in exchange for these resources and this provision. And also what these women aren't recognizing is that you have this demand on the table that the guy needs to be able to afford this lifestyle. He needs to be making a certain amount of money, but you're not anticipating that he's also going to have some demands on that table, and he's also going to have plenty of options if he can meet your demands. If he can meet your demands, he could probably meet most women's demands, which means he actually has the leverage in this negotiation. So these women are not coming into this like you would come into business. You can't sit at the table with some people and discuss business, and they have more leverage than you, and you're the one acting arrogant, like, yeah, I want this, this, and this, and it has to be this, or else I'm not interested. It's like, yeah, but what you're offering, there's plenty of other people offering that. What you're demanding is rare, and I actually have it. So you need to humble yourself the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and hear my demands, and let's see if you can meet them.
There's hypergamy the right way and hypergamy the wrong way. Hypergamy the wrong way is what we usually taught, and which is why women do what men call monkey branch from one to the other. They will be with a man, and he'll be okay for them, right? But then they're kind of always constantly on the lookout, low-key stealing the street. Like, okay, that's the one for them, one for that. I'm looking for one who might be a little better.
She belongs to the streets.
See, women don't understand the 80-20 rule. You'll have the 80% and then look for the 20% when really you should be sitting down somewhere, right? So they'll be looking. Okay, and if a man pop up with that other 20%, she gone because she thinks it's better. And they don't want to settle. Right, I don't want to settle. Thank you. That is hypergamy the wrong way. Okay? Jumping from man to man, that's why y'all body count is high as it is. You jump from man to man, thinking, well, if I get with this one, I'll get something better. And then you find out he wasn't better. Then you try to go backwards and get the other one. Sometimes you say no. Then you find yourself by yourself and you on the hunt again, looking for another one better. Okay, that's not even how hypergamy is supposed to work.
All right, so she just pretty much explained the average Western woman right now and why that is, you know, hypergamy done wrong. And next she's going to talk about hypergamy done right. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, connect all these dots, and go ahead and give my perspective on it and how you guys need to conduct yourselves as far as hypergamy is concerned, or actually how both men and women should conduct themselves as far as hypergamy is concerned. I'm also going to get into the different types of hypergamy for men as far as good and bad. So let me do that now before I let this chick give you her perspective on what the correct way to express a woman's hypergamy is. All right. So we always talk about women being hypergamous. All right. So we know the bad way. The bad way is when you're coming off as a gold digger. And ladies first, so I'm going to let her give her take on the positive way to go about it for women. But I want to address men's hypergamy and how it could be bad and how it could be good, right? So real quick, Everybody pay the fuck attention. All you guys pay attention, because this is actually really, really useful. And you guys are running out of free game from me. Like, we're already in February. I already started working on the fucking studio. I'm already putting my team together. I'm already employing people and putting them in the position. So heads up, all this free shit about to stop. I'm just being real with you. I did it for a year. I gave you guys free fucking game. That way nobody could question my authenticity, because I wasn't profiting from this. So you can't say I was lying. You can't say I was faking. You can't say I was scamming. You can't say I was pandering. You can't say any of that, because I was just keeping it real. G shit. But this might be some of the last free game that I give out. So pay attention, because a lot of it's been falling on deaf ears. All right. So now, when hypergamy is expressed incorrectly for guys, when it's wrong, is when you're treating a particular woman better than you usually would treat women. You're spending more, you're doing more, you're putting in more effort, you're taking more shit, you're doing all this extra stuff simply because she's better looking, right? Now, this hypergamy is affecting you negatively because, number one, you're compromising yourself. Number two, that's not G. Number three, she's losing value and respect for you, right? And number four, you're not getting to the core essentials of what a female is, because you're too busy overvaluing her just based on looks. That makes any sense. So let me try to make a comparison. So over here, treating a chick special just because she looks better than most of the chicks that you've dealt with, that's the equivalent of a chick hooking up with a dude, giving him free sex, doing all this stuff, him not having to take her out, spend time, give her attention, all that, or any of that, just simply because he makes good money, just simply because he makes a lot of money. But she's not actually getting any of that money. He's not actually taking her out anywhere special, anywhere nice. He's not actually sharing any resources with her. He's not actually being generous. But just the fact that she knows that he has it, she's over here giving the best of herself, physically, and she's not getting any type of treatment. She's not getting anything from the guy. He just happens to have a lot of money. She's not getting shit. She's just basically getting treated like I don't even want to say, friends with benefits or whatever. She's just getting treated like a sexual object. And the reason why she's allowing herself to be exploited this way is just simply because the guy has more money than the guys that she's used to, the guys that she has access to, or whatever the case may be, right? All right, so you say how I just gave you 4 reasons why that's not a good look for a guy to be doing that for a good-looking woman. So it's the same thing with this female now, because if she's doing that, this guy is not going to value her for that, right? He's not going to commit to her, right? He's not going to respect her. And when he's done, when he feels like, all right, I've done everything I could do to you sexually or whatever, like I'm over it, I'm bored, he's just going to go ahead and find another pretty thing to play with. That's what's going to happen. So, what was the point of what she just did? Because if this guy has more resources and he's a viable option for a boyfriend or husband or whatever, then what was the point of doing all of that and getting no relationship from him? It was pointless. So if it was going to be just for the sex, you could have did that with a good-looking broke guy. You see what I'm saying? So she just squandered the access to having this high-value dude because she didn't conduct herself in a way that made her valuable to him. Thus, she didn't get any commitment. Now, imagine that on the guy now. Now, if you're over here treating this chick so special just because she looks good, guess what? You're not going to get any empathy from her. You're not going to get any submission from her. You're not going to get her making sandwiches for you and taking care of you. And, you're not going to get any of that from her. So what was the point? You just squandered the value of her being a good-looking chick, to have a relationship with, because you're not getting any relationship qualities or benefits out of her. You're basically just getting used, or you're offering yourself, to have your resources exploited for nothing in return. So hopefully I explained that enough for you guys to fucking get it. All right. So that's male hypergamy, gone wrong. And that's also what happens to women. They sit here and they get smashed by the high profile guys, and those guys never commit. They keep it moving, but their hypergamy is what got them in his bed so quick and with nothing to show for it. So that's how their hypergamy backfires on them and fucks them up, and that's how that male hypergamy fucks up fucks the guy up, right? So real quick before I let this chick speak again, I'm just gonna give you the positive hypergamy for a guy. Right? Now watch this. A lot of you guys need to pay attention because you aren't banging 7, 8s, and 9s. Right? If you weren't, you wouldn't be listening so attentively. All right? So now that you're listening, let me tell you how you use your male hypergamy to your advantage and you make a mediocre situation a good one. All right. What you do is you say to yourself, I'm not getting these 7s and above. Right? But I can talk up a 5 or a 6. I can get on a date with a 5 and a 6. Good. Get you a 6, get you anywhere from a 5 to a 6.5, right? With immense potential. So what you do is you make sure she has no alarming red flags, like obviously no children or some shit like that. You don't want a chick that's like a single mom, right? You don't want her to like necessarily like have a living situation that doesn't benefit you. What else? You don't want her to be too much in debt. What else? You obviously want her to have average to above average intelligence. You also want her to already be feminine by nature. And what's another one? You want her to already have an inherent respect for men, right? So if you just make sure that she has those basics, that basic hardwiring, that basic programming, now you can adjust those looks. So is she a 6 because she's a little bit overweight? That's actually a good thing. If she has a good bone structure, but she's a little bit overweight, if she has maybe some debt or she's kind of having issues with making money, but she's not too far in debt, you could also kind of make that work. If she has a face, you can see her face is somewhat cute. She has a pretty good looking face, but maybe because she's a little bit chubby, you don't get to see the cheekbones and you don't really get to see her face. Okay, that's the one. That's the one. Now, let me tell you how you put your hypergamy to work. You basically find a non-offensive way to lay out all of her flaws, and then you follow up with the confidence that these things can be improved and that you have this interest in her, that you're willing to invest in her because you see the potential. And you go ahead and you validate her for those non-physical attributes that she has that are valuable, like the fact that she's feminine, the fact that she's submissive, the fact that she has respect, the fact that she listens, the fact that she's coachable, right? The fact that she doesn't already have children, the fact that she doesn't already have a high body count. You go ahead and validate her for those values, right? That aren't superficial. Then you get her to commit to working on these issues, and you guide her and coach her through those issues. So you get her diet on point, you get her fitness on point, you cut out any friends that aren't beneficial, or you minimize her time spent with friends, and you maximize her time spent on self-improvement. You help her work out her debt issues and her money issues. You help her get a better job, or help her better manage her money, and you basically build a bitch, right? Like build a bear, you build a bitch. Now, what you're doing is you're putting your hypergamy to use. You're expressing your hypergamy in a positive way, and you're putting in the work, right? So now you just took that 6 or that 6.5 to a 7.5, right? But remember, good bone structure. If she has good bone structure, she already has good facial features. All you gotta do is knock that weight off of her, tighten up that waist. You might have to invest $2,500, $2,700, $3,000 for breast augmentations. You throw some double D's on that bitch, right? Well, not double D's, but you throw some D's on that bitch, or not even D's. You know, whatever you like. You know what I mean? Mind you, I'm not talking out my fucking ass. I've done these things before. You know what I mean? I've taken a chick, got her in great shape, and put the fucking breast implants in her, and you know what I'm saying? Basically, I took a 6.5 to an 8. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, that's my advice on that. Let's hear what this chick has to say, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and explain to you how hypergamy equals polygamy.
Hypergamy the right way is encouraging your man to always become a better version of himself. So every once in a while, every so many moons, you do get a new man. He's just in the same body. That serves our hypergamy. If I get with a man and he was making $45,000 yearly, and he had a vision and aspiration, I'm gonna use my hypergamy to cheer him on so that he can, in 5 years, he's probably making $145,000. That's the better man. But you didn't leave; you just inspired him to be better. That's all.
our whole entire just different perspective of it, and I love it. I love you so much for that because it's so true. It is so true that monkey branching that on those types of girls, there's someone better out there, and then we have in our mind like, okay, if I date him, well, he's not tall enough, he's not rich enough, he's not this enough, he's not, and there's going to be someone out there that's always tall enough. But when you say hypergamy is inspiring your man to be better, to be the best, and then it's not coaching him, it's not telling him what to do, but it's that inspiration. Someone left a comment on one of my video and said my video inspired him, like my femininity inspired him to work an extra shift. I don't remember what I was talking about in that video, but it wasn't about working an extra shift. But a lot of women don't know that our femininity can just be that inspirational. Like, you really just be kind. Just be nice, just have that feminine trait. And as you said, the man could be making 45 a year. With your femininity, it will inspire him to make 145. I just love that. I love that. Thank you so much for mentioning that. And I hope somebody, you see, I'm using my channel I'm learning too, right? I'm learning too. But then also to break that narrative, to break that one side, because there are female content creators teaching these girls how to be, how to level up, how to find a rich man, a high value man, right? And they only focus on the money part of that, right? Yeah. And they're literally teaching these women how to use their femininity to manipulate these men, instead of saying, okay, use your femininity to inspire.
So I agree with what she said on both ends. I agree with what she said about the negative hypergamy, and I agree with what she said about the positive hypergamy. Let me expound on it because I've experienced it. Now, what she's saying is all fine and dandy. A woman should find a man that's ambitious, motivated, talented, blah, 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 determined, and basically be willing to come in on the ground level, grassroots, and basically be willing to work with this man to build him up to a higher status. So that sounds good. Like I said, every once in a while you get a woman that says some shit and it makes sense and it sounds good and you're like, damn, you go, sister. There needs to be more women like you. Now, here's the thing though. Do they actually know how to put this in motion? Do they actually know how to make this happen? You see how she said, oh, you inspire the guy to be better, but you don't tell him how to be better. It's like, hold on. It's because you can't tell him how to be better. Very few women actually know how to play by play tell a guy how to level up. Right? So I'm going to tell you how you get this dynamic, because this is the thing. Even though what she said sounds all good, women don't come to you like that. Modern women don't come to you programmed like that. They should, but they didn't have a daddy in their house and so on and so forth. Because the way it would have normally gone is the father would have been the one to determine whether or not the guy that's courting her actually has potential, actually has ambitious, or is actually going to be successful. That's how it went. So what she's saying is all fine and dandy, but let's face it, women don't even have the skill set to identify these qualities in men. Let's be for real. Now, here's the thing though. If you're a G, or if you're going to let a G teach you how to behave like a G and think like a G and execute like a G, let me tell you how I've done it and how you can also do it. So you believe in yourself. You know you have these qualities, right? Without a doubt in your mind, you know you're going to be successful. You know you're ambitious. You know blah, blah, blah. You have a plan. Now what you need to do is find a way to convince a woman that you want to believe that and get on board and get on your program. All right, so the last time I did this with a female, and I'm also going to tell you how it correlates into polygamy. So, all right, first of all, let me back it up. The reason why hypergamy is going to lead to polygamy is simply math. It's math. That's why. It has nothing to do with feelings, emotions, what society thinks, what they condone, what's accepted, blah, blah, blah. Fuck all of that. At the end of the day, everything is math. So what's going to happen is women are going to have to, at some point in time, accept that not only are there very few men available that fit the bill, but also monogamy has died out. Soon we will stop even expecting monogamy. We'll stop even expecting people to be with one person. That's coming very soon. Now, when that comes, women are still going to have that desire for provision, stability, dominance, masculinity, all of that. They're still going to want that. And men are still going to want variety. So the common sense conclusion that works for both is going to be polygamy, obviously. Okay? Now, this is why I win the polygamy argument with women. I know you know some other guys from some other podcasts, and they keep trying to ram these points down these women's throat, and they never get the women to agree or see eye to eye because they don't understand how to approach it. They don't understand how to have the conversation or how to get women to see it the way that it is, right? But I do. So the way I get women to get on board with that is real simple. In short, you get them to acknowledge that many men are having children with more than one woman. Many guys that have kids from more than one chick. So you can call them Pookie, Tyrone, Chad, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But the guys that are out here making babies out of wedlock, those guys tend to have more than one baby mama. So you make it real simple for these chicks. You explain to them like, okay, so you do realize that when women have an opportunity to fuck with a Chris Brown or a Trey Songz or an NFL player or whatever, they accept that this guy is sleeping with other women. And the women have to agree to that. Yeah, that's true. They accept that. That groupie phenomenon. They accept that guys that are successful and famous, when they have the combination of both, women are willing to accept that he's sleeping with other women and that they're not going to get any commitment, right? Okay. Let's put a paperclip in that. Now, we also know that women would rather date a guy that's married than date a guy that lives with his mom and dad. Women will also admit to that. Okay, put a paperclip in that. Now, we also admit that there are many women that have baby daddies that have babies by other women. Women will have to admit that. And they knew that going into it because he already had a kid by another woman, yet they still ended up having a kid with him. All right, let's put a paperclip in that. Now that we have all those three things lined up, now it's very easy for me to prove how what I'm suggesting is better for everyone, women especially. So if you're willing to share a celebrity and never get commitment from him, how is that any better than a guy being willing to marry you, but also you have to accept that he's going to be married or committed to another woman as well? But everything's going to be on the table. Nothing's going to be behind your back, and you actually get the commitment though. So you get the high quality guy. You get commitment from the high quality guy. All you have to accept is what you already were accepting with the guy you were just having sex with, which is that he's not sleeping with only you. That's a better deal. She's going to have to admit that. The next thing is, if you have a child by a guy that already has a kid with another woman, you're already accepting that he's having children with other women. How is that not worse than if you were married to him and he was married to the other woman and he had to give you both equal and he had to take care of his children both equal, but you were all under the same roof and doing it as a family rather than him having to split resources? Again, they would have to agree that is better than what's already taking place. Now, if there are women that have had affairs with married men, how is that better than the man simply going out with the wife and the new woman and seeing if the two can get along, and if they can, bringing that new woman now into the relationship that they already have, so that nobody's lying to anybody, nobody's hiding anything from anyone, and nobody has to get divorced? Again, they would have to admit that that is a better scenario for everyone. So these conversations can be had. Women can be persuaded. It's just you got to have a certain sophistication when you do it, and you have to come at it from a position that incentivizes them. But when you just come out saying polygamy, it automatically in their head, how they equate that is, oh my God, a man having more than one woman, a man getting this, and and then in all actuality, that's not how it plays out. I've had polygamous relationships. That is not how it plays out. It's actually benefits the women. It's the guy that has to work double time. It's the guy that has to provide for more than one. It's the guy that has to deal with two different personalities and two different set of emotions. It's the guy that has to sacrifice in that equation, right? And having two women, it doesn't benefit you like you think it would. It's definitely not a sexual thing, because at the end of the day, you can only put your dick inside one girl at a time. So, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's a whole nother video that I may do in the future, because I know guys really want that one. They really want me to get into polygamy and how it works and how you could pull it off. But anyhow, I was just telling you how hypergamy, it's going to lead to that. It's inevitable. Polygamy is going to be the result regardless. So we need to stop looking at it as a bad thing, and we need to start actually looking at it as a solution. It would actually solve a lot of women's problems in the dating market. Now, it would make things worse for men, though. That's the thing. Polygamy would fuck men up, because they would know that they can't have the women that they already can't have, if that makes any sense. Like like, it wouldn't make any less women available, because women they'd rather stay single anyway, waiting on this high status guy anyhow. So it's not like the average guy is getting access to these women anyway. But what polygamy would do would let you guys know, hey, bro, it's a wrap. You're not getting it, because some dude already has 3 women. So you're not getting any of those 3 chicks. Now, this has run too long, so let's finish up right now. What I was going to say to you guys is that that's what I was going to say to you guys. All right, so now how I want to end this is explaining to you young guys how you get a woman to harness her hypergamy for only you. Right, so when you're confident that you're going to be successful, you have a plan, you have a layout, you're going to do this in X amount of months, this in X amount of years, and this ultimately, whatever, right? You have your plan. You have this chick, and obviously she has to be attracted to you. You have to at least, have her interest. You at least have to be seeing her and going out with her, getting to know her, whatever. So as soon as she's confirmed that she's actually attracted to you and interested in a relationship with you, now, this is how you get everything out in the open. You have the conversation with her, like, listen, you're interested in a relationship, but hypergamy is a thing, right? And you basically kind of explain to her in the gentlest of ways, what hypergamy is and why it could be an issue. And then, of course, she's going to act like she has no idea what the fuck you're talking about, as far as it having this scientific term, but she is going to be able to relate to you when you describe how it plays out, and she's going to be like, yeah, I get that, women are more interested in guys that have more and are more successful or whatever. And then you tell her, listen, there's always going to be a guy that has more money than me, there's always going to be a guy that's more successful than me, and that's just life. I can accept that. The thing is I need to know what is your expectation. I need to know what is enough for you, and I need to know now. I need to know ahead of time in the beginning. It's not about me having that now. It's about whether or not I can realistically achieve that. All right, and this is going to be a little weird for her, a little bit awkward for her, but you get through it, and you get her to actually put a number on the table. You get her to actually put a number, right? And I've done this with my woman. Put a fucking number. And when she gives you that number, whether it's 70 grand a year, 80 grand a year, 100 grand a year, whatever it is, right? And that, of course, trickles down into smaller things like where would she like to live? What kind of car would she like to drive? You have to have these conversations, guys. I know it seems weird, but I'm telling you, I'm trying to show you how to do something. Now, when you get her to lay these things down, right? You get her to be honest and be realistic. You get her to say, well, listen, 100 grand a year or whatever, or I'd like to drive this car or whatever, right? Now, once you get that down, you basically let her know what your plan is and how you're going to implement this plan step by step. So if it's 100 grand a year, you need to be making over 8,500 a month, all right? So what are you going to be doing to make over 2 grand a week? You see what I mean? And once you can lay it out for her and she can literally see it, like, okay, yeah, you're going to be working here and you're going to be doing this and whatever, then so much things get put into perspective and get agreed upon together, because it's like, well, I'm going to be making this, but in order to make this, I need to do this and I need to do this, which is going to take this amount of hours per day, per week. So already I'm going to be very, very busy. I'm not going to have a lot of time to spend with you on these certain times. These are the days that I'll have available for you. This is this and this is this. So what happens is later she can't complain, oh, you never have time for me, you never do that. She couldn't even say those things because you would have already had this discussion ahead of time. You want me to be this value of man, and I agree that I can do this, and I have the ambition, I have the plan, I do want to do this, and I'm going to do that. But this is what it's going to require from me. And also, pay attention, guys, this is what it's going to require from her. So not only are you laying out basically what you promised to do, or what you're telling her you're going to do, what you're going to provide, but you're also now opening the conversation to let her know what it is that she's going to have to contribute and what she's going to have to do to be entitled to this. All right? And you also let her know what you value in her. It's like, okay, so you're saying you value this level of lifestyle, and you value this level of provision and resources for me, but hold on now, I value continuity. So the only reason why I'm willing to do this and share this with you is because you're here with me from now. You're here with me from before I achieve these things. And we're agreeing to do this together. So that's the value of a woman that's been with you through the grind and the struggle. That makes her extremely valuable and irreplaceable. Because yes, you could become very successful and you're making $300K a year, and oh yeah, wow. Now you can have any pretty young girl. Of course, you can have any pretty young girl now, but can you replace a girl that's been with you before you had that shit? A girl that you know is down because she committed to it before it was a reality? You can't. You can't go back in time. You can't buy a time machine and go back in time and see if a girl is going to go through all of that with you. What you have is the girl that did, right? So you let her know that continuity is important. The fact that she's been there since day one and she didn't give up. The next thing is obviously her respect, her admiration, her support, her inspiration, her encouragement, right? So you're letting her know, I need all these things from you. And if you're giving me these things, then I can give you these things, right? So that's how that conversation is had. And I promise you guys, not only is that conversation going to be how you filter through the women that their hypergamy is going to be an issue, but you also set her up to be gratified and to appreciate everything that you accomplish, because not only did she have to help you with it, but she saw you go from this to that and from that to that and that to that. So it adds a different type of value to it that wouldn't have been there if she just found some random guy that already had it. And you also explained to her that if you were to just find a guy that's already successful, he wouldn't owe you shit and he could leave you at any time. But the fact that you're trusting me to become successful and I'm trusting you to be here for me and support me, we both can value each other's participation, right? And this conversation at a later date, after you start accomplishing things, I'm going to tell you guys how to take it to the next level now and have the conversation of polygamy, because I know a lot of you guys are super interested in that. But before you have the conversation on polygamy, I suggest that you invest in the conversation on hypergamy and you put in some time with this female first before you get to the conversation of polygamy. Because a woman has to feel invested in you and bonded to you before she's going to be comfortable with the idea of another female coming in. Because another female coming in to her is threatening. So she has to know that she's solidified with you and secure with you before she's willing to take the risk of having another female come in who I would hope would be younger and equally or more attractive. Like, why would you even add another female if she's not going to be younger or more attractive? And don't go for too much younger, because then it's going to be too off. A couple of years, 2 to 3 years, I think should be the most that the next wife or the next woman should be younger than the first. But that's a whole nother conversation, man. That's plenty of game for you guys to ponder over. I'm out of here. Peace.